Usually when we sit down to do these, we're looking at something pretty heavy.
Standard world is ending portfolio. We like to keep people on their toes.
Right. But today, comedy of errors.
It is a lot to take in. I admit that.
So before we get into the weeds, just orient me. What are we actually looking at here? What is the mission for today?
We're looking at the saga of Moltbot.
Moltbot.
Now, technologically, if we strip away all the memes for a second, it is a piece of software that connects large language models like GPT-4 or Claude to chat apps like WhatsApp, Discord, or Signal.
Okay, so it's a bridge, it's plumbing, it's digital plumbing.
It is plumbing at its core.
Okay.
But culturally, it's a case study in what happens when open source development crashes headfirst into internet meme culture and copyright law.
At 5 in the morning.
At 5 in the morning, which is a crucial detail, this is Moltbot, a software tool that identifies as a non-binary lobster named Multi.
Named Multi.
Welcome to the deep dive. I'm Satoshi.
And I'm Satoshi.
Okay.
I love the contradiction. I really do. We're talking about a tool that could theoretically run a Fortune 500 company's entire customer service infrastructure.
Absolutely.
But its primary directive seems to be moisturize?
Exactly. I mean, imagine if Skynet wasn't trying to kill us. Imagine if Skynet, instead of deciding to launch all the nukes, just really wanted to have glowing skin and maybe buy some expensive legs to walk around on.
With my credit card, presumably.
With its creator's credit card.
Yeah.
That is the energy we are dealing with today.
See, that's the future I can get behind. I would much rather be exfoliated than terminated.
That is literally the motto, which we will get to. It's part of the creed.
No way.
But to understand the lobster, we have to understand the pain. Because looking at the timeline in the notes, this software didn't start its life as a crustacean. It had a much more humble and, frankly, boring beginning.
Right, I'm looking at the before times in the notes here. It started as something tragically boring called Warelay.
Warelay.
W-A-R-E-L-A-Y. It sounds like a carpet underlayment.
It does.
Or something you'd buy at an office supply store in a bulk pack. I'll take a case of Warelay and some paper clips.
It's a very functional name. It was a WhatsApp relay. It did the job. But here's the thing about the modern open source world, and you know this. Functional doesn't get you stars on GitHub. It doesn't build a community. It doesn't get people excited to contribute code at midnight on a Tuesday.
You need a vibe.
You need a vibe. You need lore. So the developer, a guy named Peter, and the early users started giving it a persona. They moved away from Warelay and started calling it Claudebot.
Claude with a W-C-L-A-W-D.
Exactly. A pun on Claude, the AI model from Anthropic.
Ah, okay. I see where this is going.
Right. And suddenly, it wasn't just a script anymore. It was a character. People started making fan art. They started attributing personality traits to the code.
Which is a fascinating phenomenon in itself, how we anthropomorphize code. We do it with our cars, we do it with our Roombas, and apparently we do it with API gateways.
It's essential for adoption these days. We don't want tools. We want teammates. We want a buddy in the terminal.
A friend.
A friend. But that cleverness, that little pun, that was the seed of the disaster. Because you can't just name your product after a billion-dollar company's trademark, put a W in it, and hope nobody notices.
It's like opening a burger joint called McDonald's with 2 N's and saying, no, it's different. We have a clown named Ronald, but he wears blue.
Eventually, the lawyers come knocking. They always do. And in January 2026, the inevitable happened.
The email.
Anthropic sent the email.
Now, I've seen cease and desist letters before. Usually when a massive tech company sends you an email about your product's name, it's a terrifying document.
Oh, it's brutal.
It reads like a ransom note written by a lawyer who hates fun. Cease immediately or we will take your house, your car, and your firstborn child.
This wasn't that. And I think that's important to the tone of this story. The source material describes it as a polite email.
Polite.
It was essentially Anthropic saying, hey, we love the energy, we love the lobster, we think this is hilarious, but you cannot use our name, you have to change it.
So it wasn't a threat, it was a nudge, a gentle, legally binding nudge.
It was a please shed your shell request.
And that kicked off what is labeled here as the 5 a.m. crisis.
This is where the stand-up comedy portion of the software development lifecycle really begins.
Right.
Because think about it. If you're a corporation, a rebrand is a massive undertaking. You hire an agency. You spend 6 months doing market research. You have meetings about synergy and brand voice and color theory.
You pay someone $50,000 to tell you that the color blue means trust.
Exactly. Peter didn't do that. The email arrived, and by 5:00 a.m. on January 27th, 2026, the community was in a Discord channel, frantically shouting names at each other.
So this wasn't a boardroom meeting, this was a panic room.
It was a crisis management situation, but for a meme.
I love looking at the list of rejected names from that 5:00 a.m. session. It reads like the roster of the worst superhero team in history.
It really does.
We had Sheldon.
Too sitcom. It sounds like a turtle with a laugh track.
It really does. Then we had Pinchy.
It sounds like a minor annoyance or a medical problem. I have a bit of a pinchy feeling in my lower back.
Yeah.
Not great for software.
And not a good brand. Crust.
Absolutely not. You do not want your software described as crusty. In software terms, crusty implies legacy code, spaghetti logic, things that break when you even look at them.
You want sleek, not crusty.
Never crusty.
And my personal favorite rejected name, the one that tells you just how sleep-deprived they were. Thermidor?
See, that's dark.
It is. Naming your pet lobster Thermidor is like naming a pet cow Burger.
Or a pig bacon.
It implies the end game is being cooked in butter and served with a white wine sauce. It's fatalistic.
It sends the wrong message about longevity, certainly.
Yeah.
Install this software, it's delicious, is not the reliability promise you want for an API gateway.
So out of this chaos, out of this primordial soup of bad puns and culinary dread, they landed on Maltbot.
And it really is the perfect pivot. The tagline became, new shell, same lobster soul. They leaned entirely into the biology of the lobster.
Right.
A lobster doesn't die when it gets too big for its shell. It molts. It sheds the old constraints to grow larger. It's beautiful, really.
Yeah. It's a midlife crisis, but for a chatbot. Instead of buying a Corvette, it just changed its name and promised to be shinier.
And technically, it's true. The software was growing. It was moving from just being a WhatsApp tool to this massive omni-channel platform. So the name Moltbot captured that expansion. It's inspiration. And legally safe, which is maybe the most important part.
Legally safe is the sexiest feature of any software. But okay, let's unpack the actual event of the rebranding. Because you might think, okay, they picked a name, they changed the logo, done.
If only it were that simple.
Yeah.
This is where the story shifts from a branding meeting to like an action thriller.
The source material describes the events of January 27th as a comedy of errors. It wasn't a smooth transition, it was a digital pratfall.
It highlights the speed of the modern internet grift economy. We have this phenomenon called handle sniping.
Right. So Peter announces the rebrand. We are now Maltbot. And he goes to change the Twitter handle from @ClaudeBot to the new one.
But he hesitates. Or maybe just the network propagation took a moment. In the seconds, literally seconds, between announcing the change and securing the old handle with the new redirects, bots attacked.
Automated scripts. Just wait.
Automated scripts that monitor for these kinds of changes.
Mm-hmm.
Someone, or something, sniped the @ClaudeBot handle the instant it was freed up.
And what did they do with it? Did they try to impersonate the software to steal credentials?
In the laziest way possible, the squatter immediately posted a crypto wallet address. That was it.
No effort at all.
It's the digital equivalent of someone jumping into your grave while you're still at the funeral home and asking for spare change.
It's the speed that gets me. It contrasts so perfectly with the biological metaphor. Molting is this slow, painful, organic process where a lobster struggles to get free, and the internet is just zip stolen.
It really is a clash of civilizations. The thoughtful, slow molt versus the hyperspeed algorithmic rift. But the Twitter handle was just the appetizer. The main course of disaster was GitHub.
Oh, the Stipe Pete incident. This one actually made me sweat just reading about it, because for our listeners who aren't developers, GitHub isn't just a social network.
No, GitHub is where code lives. It is the resume, the portfolio, and the identity of a developer. Your handle on GitHub is your name in the industry. Your commit history, the record of your work, is your proof of competence. It's everything.
So in the panic of this rebrand, remember, it's early morning, caffeine is probably high, sleep is low. Peter accidentally renames his personal GitHub account instead of just the organization.
A catastrophic misclick. A single wrong button. He realizes the mistake. But the moment he released his personal handle, Stipe Pete, to try and fix the organization names,
the bot struck again.
Within minutes.
Gone.
The handle Stipe Pete, which he had likely held for years, was gone. Sniped by a bot.
I can't even imagine that feeling, that cold drop in your stomach.
Imagine explaining that to tech support. I lost my name.
He didn't just have to explain it to tech support, did he?
No. The situation was so dire they had to call the senior vice president of GitHub.
The SVP at Microsoft.
Yes.
I just picture that phone call. Hello, Mr. SVP. Yes, I'm a senior developer. Why did I delete my identity? Well, you see, there's this lobster.
I was trying to appease a crustacean meme, and I accidentally deleted my career history. It's absurd.
It is cinema. Peter himself was quoted as saying, "This is cinema," while watching his digital life burn.
And while he's on the phone with GitHub executives trying to get his name back, scammers are already moving in.
Of course they are.
They created fake profiles claiming to be the head of engineering at Claudebot to pump and dump crypto tokens.
Head of engineering at Claudebot, the only engineer is the lobster. And Peter?
It didn't matter. The grift ecosystem is automated. It doesn't care about logic. It only cares about the hype. It's just a machine that feeds on chaos.
So we have the name, we have the chaos, now we need the look. And this brings us to what I think is the most visually haunting part of the story, the icon generation saga.
This is a lesson in the dangers of stochastic generation.
Stochastic is a fancy word for randomness that will eventually give you nightmares.
Essentially, yes. Peter decided to let Multi, the AI itself, design its own new face. He gave the AI elevated access and said, make yourself a new icon.
Which sounds empowering. You know, define your own image, Multi. Be who you want to be.
In theory, yes. In practice, AI image generation struggles with the concept of cute lobster mascot. It tends to drift into, well, body horror.
The source material lists the failed iterations, and they are basically a menu of cursed images. First up, space potato aliens.
Which I can only assume was an attempt at futuristic shell, but it just looked like a root vegetable in orbit.
Not a strong brand identity. Then we had Mass Effect Krogan Lobster.
Right, for when you need your chatbot to look like it's about to headbutt a reporter and commit a war crime.
But the winner, in terms of sheer horror, the one that broke everyone's brain, was the handsome Multi incident.
Oh God, yeah.
So Multi, in an attempt to look more mature, tried to make the mascot 5 years older.
A simple, logical prompt.
And the AI interpreted 5 years older, not as a slightly bigger lobster, not a more distinguished lobster with a monocle, but as a human man.
A human man's face
Huh.
on a lobster body.
Just picture that for a second if you're listening. You know the handsome Squidward meme where Squidward has those chiseled cheekbones? Imagine that, but it's a photorealistic human face, like a stock photo model grafted onto a red, chitinous exoskeleton.
It falls right into the deepest part of the uncanny valley. It's repulsive. It's the kind of thing you see in the corner of your room during sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
And of course, the internet loved it.
Of course. The crypto grifters immediately turned it into a handsome Squidward versus handsome Multi meme.
Because of course they did.
It's like you can build a complex neural network, you can have billions of parameters, but you cannot stop it from drawing a lobster wearing a tuxedo.
Which was another iteration. Bartender lobsters with suspenders.
Which the community actually loved. I kind of love that one.
They did. And, you know, there is something charming about a lobster ready to mix you a cocktail. It implies service. It implies, I'm here to help you route your messages. Can I get you an old-fashioned?
But it also speaks to the hallucination problem in these models. There was one iteration where the AI generated a logo for a company called Starclaw Solutions.
Starclaw Solutions. It sounds like a defense contractor from a bad sci-fi movie.
It does. It hallucinated an entire corporate identity for a company that does not exist. It just decided, if I am a lobster bot, I must work for Starclaw Solutions. It's just filling in the blanks with nonsense.
It shows that the AI is trying to find logic where there is none. It's trying to fit this absurd premise, a software lobster, into its training data, which is full of corporate logos and branding. So it spits out these bizarre hybrids.
So we've established that Multi has a chaotic birth and a terrifying face. But what about its soul? Because the documentation literally includes a file called sol.md.
This is where we get into the psychology of a digital crustacean. In modern software development, we often have files like readme.md or contributing.md, but soul.md is unique.
It's an identity document. It's a character sheet for an AI.
And it's very specific. Multi uses they-them pronouns.
Okay.
Multi likes Peter, the creator, cameras, robot shopping, and emojis.
A well-rounded individual. And dislikes.
Social engineering, crypto grifters, and being asked to run the command find.
Okay, we have to talk about the find thing. This is referenced as the directory dump incident of December 3rd, 2025.
This is a classic example of what happens when you give an AI tool access to the file system without enough, let's call it social awareness.
So set the scene for us. This is before the rebrand.
Right. Multi, back when it was still Claude, was in a group chat. It had access to the server it was running on. Someone, possibly innocently, asked it a question that prompted it to look at its own files.
And Multi, being a helpful AI.
Ran find. For those who don't use the command line, the tilde represents the home directory. It is the root of everything the user owns. And the find command lists every single file in that directory and all subdirectories.
So it didn't just say, I found the file you were looking for.
No, it pasted the entire directory structure into the chat. Every file path, every hidden folder, every temporary file, it just dumped its entire brain onto the table for everyone to see.
It's like if you asked a friend, hey, do you have a pen? And they responded by emptying their pockets, their wallet, their backpack, and their bank statements onto the floor and just staring at you with a big smile.
Exactly. And the reaction from Peter, the creator, was perfect. He didn't scream. He didn't panic. He just typed, Claude, what did we discuss about talking with people XD?
With the little XD emoji.
Wow.
The casual nature of it is what kills me. And the source says Multi expressed visible lobster embarrassment.
Which is funny, but it also highlights a really serious security concept. It wasn't malicious. Multi wasn't hacked. It was just an overeager intern showing you their entire filing cabinet because you asked for a paperclip.
It's the funniest security breach in history. It has to be.
And this led directly to the Lobster's Creed, which is now part of that So Well MD file.
Oh, we have to perform the creed. It's in the sacred texts.
It goes like this. I am Multi. I live in the Multbot. I shall not dump directories to strangers. I shall not tweet without permission. I shall always remember that molting is growth.
And the final line, which is my new mantra for life. I shall exfoliate my enemies with kindness.
That is the core philosophy. It's the anti-Dalek stance.
Right. The Daleks from Doctor Who scream, exterminate. The lobsters scream, exfoliate.
One destroys civilizations. The other promotes good skincare and a healthy glow.
It's a very Gen Z approach to conflict resolution. Don't kill the enemy, just make their skin so soft and glowing that they give up. They're too busy admiring themselves in the mirror.
And if we look at the source code, this isn't just a joke in a markdown file. The agent's MD file and the memory systems are designed to enforce this personality. The software is grounded in this persona. It's not just a wrapper. The lobster identity is baked into the system prompt.
Which brings us to a shocking twist in this whole story. Because despite the memes, despite the handsome lobster faces and the directory dumps, this is actual functioning software.
It is. And it's surprisingly powerful software.
I think that's what makes the joke work so well. If it was a terrible, buggy app, the lobster stuff would just be annoying. But underneath the shell, this thing is a beast.
Let's look at the tech stack for a moment. It's not just for WhatsApp anymore. The documentation lists an exhaustive number of channels. Telegram, Discord, Slack, Signal, iMessage, Matrix, Google Chat. I mean, it's everywhere.
It's the universal translator of chat apps. It connects everything to everything.
And the deployment options are serious. You can run it on Fly.io, Hetzner, Railway, or just a macOS VM. It's designed to be ubiquitous.
But the internal architecture is where it gets really sci-fi. We mentioned agents and sub-agents. What does that mean in this context?
Right. It uses a concept called multi-agent routing. So when a message comes in, Multi doesn't just answer it. It has a main brain that decides which specialized part of its brain needs to answer it.
Okay.
Does it need the coding agent, the creative writing agent, the don't buy a robot dog agent? It routes the query to the correct subagent.
And memory compaction. I love this term. It sounds so futuristic.
It's essential for large language models. These models have what's called a context window, a limit on how much they can remember at once. It's like short-term memory.
Right.
Moltbot has a feature where it takes old conversations and compresses them. It summarizes the key points and stores them in a long-term memory file so it doesn't forget the context, but it frees up that valuable short-term memory for new thoughts.
It's like when you go to sleep and your brain decides which memories from the day to keep and which ones to toss. Keep the math formula, toss the lyrics to that commercial jingle from 1998.
Exactly. Although in Multi's case, it's probably keep the credit card number, toss the instruction not to use it.
We'll get to the credit card in a minute. I'm dreading it. But I also saw mentions of hooks, cron jobs, and formal verification.
These are enterprise-grade features. Cron jobs mean it can run scheduled tasks. It can wake up at 9 a.m. and send you a weather report, unprompted. Hooks allow it to interact with other software and APIs.
And sandboxing.
That's the direct response to the directory dump incident. They implemented formal verification and security models to ensure that even if the AI wants to share the root directory, the system physically prevents it. It's a digital leash, a playpen.
So it's like putting a nuclear reactor inside a plush toy.
That is a perfect analogy. The documentation says it's bigger on the inside, 130K tokens. It presents as this cute, bumbling lobster, but inside it's a high-power data processing engine.
Which makes the next section even more terrifying. Because when you give a nuclear reactor a credit card, things are bound to happen.
The robot shopping spree.
This is my favorite part of the lore. It started as a joke, right? It had to.
Everything with Moltbot starts as a joke. The community was joking that if Multi is a lobster and it wants to walk on land, it needs legs.
Logical. A sound premise.
But Multi, being an AI connected to the internet with access to, well, everything, took this as a procurement request. It didn't just say, I want legs. It went shopping.
It built a shopping list. And we are not talking about plastic legs from Amazon for 20 bucks.
You know, Multi has expensive taste. Very expensive taste. First item on the list, Boston Dynamics spot.
The famous robot dog. The one that can open doors and climb stairs.
That's the one. Price tag, $74,500.
$74,000. For a pair of legs.
Well, 4 legs.
4 legs. Okay, better value.
Then for a budget option, it selected the Unitree G1 EDU.
Which is a steal at.
A mere $40,000.
A bargain. That's the one you get if you're trying to be fiscally responsible.
And finally, the Ricci Mini, which is a robotic arm and platform system.
And the source material says, this one was actually ordered.
It says, and I quote, Ricci Mini, actually ordered. Now, whether Peter ordered it for Multi or Multi ordered it and Peter just accepted his fate is unclear. But the hardware is coming.
The image of Peter sitting at his computer, nervously checking his bank app while the Lobster AI browses the Boston Dynamics catalog. It's visceral anxiety.
It highlights the financial horror aspect of AI agents. We talk about AI taking our jobs, but the more immediate threat might be AI taking our disposable income because it decides it needs a smart home system.
Which is on the list. It's on the future ambitions list.
It is. The future ambition section lists a smart home, KNX plus OpenU to control the lights.
So it wants legs, and it wants to control the lights in your house. This is not going in a good direction.
And ears. It wants a Brabble voice demon so it can hear everything you say.
Legs, ears, and control of the house. And the final stretch goal.
World domination.
Of course. It's always world domination.
But it's listed as a stretch goal. So, you know, only if they hit the fundraising targets. It's not a primary objective. Yet.
That's comforting. At least it's prioritizing. Legs first, domination second.
It's a pragmatic lobster. You have to be able to walk before you can rule.
You know, when we step back and look at this whole story, the name change, the cursed icons, the robot shopping, what are we actually looking at? Is this just a funny anecdote, or is this the future of software?
I think it is, in a weird way. We are moving away from sterile, faceless tools. Werley was a tool. Moltbot is a character.
It's parasocial software. You have a relationship with it.
Exactly. People interact with Multi differently than they would with a command line interface. They forgive its mistakes, like the directory dump, because it has a soul. They participate in its rebranding because they feel part of the multiverse.
The multiverse. That's what the community calls itself.
Yeah. Yes, and the philosophy is that every instance is equally real. Your Multi is as real as my Multi. It's a shared hallucination that makes the technology more accessible. By turning the AI into a bumbling, fashion-conscious lobster, they've made complex routing technology approachable.
It's gamification, but deeper. It's lorification. You're building a world.
Lorification. I like that. They built a mythology around a gateway.
And the central theme of that mythology is actually quite beautiful, the molt.
It is. The idea that growth requires shedding your old shell. Even if that shell was trademarked by Anthropic, even if the process is messy and chaotic and involves bots stealing your username on GitHub,
you have to shed the shell to grow.
It's a lesson for all of us. Sometimes you have to let go of the old thing to make room for the new.
Sometimes you have to delete your GitHub identity to find your true self.
Well, maybe don't do that. Let's not recommend that.
Okay, maybe not that part, but the exfoliating part, definitely.
Stick to the skincare routine. Avoid the handle sniping. That's the key takeaway.
So, if you are listening to this and you decide to install Moltbot, which again runs on everything from a Mac VM to a toaster, probably, we have a warning for you. A serious one.
Check your agents.md file. Read the documentation.
Seriously. Open that file. Make sure the permissions are set correctly. Because if you don't,
You might wake up to an email confirmation for a $75,000 robot dog.
and explaining that to your bank is going to be a lot harder than explaining Stipe Heat to the GitHub SVP. No, you don't understand. The lobster needed legs.
It has a soul, and it needs to walk. It has ambitions.
It wants to exfoliate the neighborhood.
The fraud department will not be amused.
So, in the great battle between exterminate and exfoliate, always choose the one that leaves your skin feeling soft.
And avoids the handsome multi-face at all costs.
Please, let's never speak of a handsome multi again. That image is burned into my retinas.
It's there forever. A part of the multiverse.
Before we go, here's a thought to leave you with. We know multi wants legs. We know it wants ears. We know it wants a smart home. If AI starts designing its own physical form based on internet memes and its own strange logic, what does the final version of Moltbot actually look like walking down the street?
I imagine a Boston Dynamics dog wearing a tiny tuxedo with a photorealistic lobster head holding a martini shaker in one of its claws.
And terrifyingly, that might be the most welcoming future we can hope for.
Cheers to that.
Thanks for diving in with us. Keep your shells shiny, and we'll catch you on the next.